Let's talk about all things quizzes. I'm going to be using the classic quizzes engine today. If you want to learn about the new quiz engine, take a look at the link that I've got in my description down below. Now, in order to build a quiz, there's a couple of different ways that you can go. I want to show you how to build a quiz question bank. We're going to work on that, and then also how to build a quiz from scratch. You can start either in modules or assignments or quizzes. I want to do a quiz bank to start. Let's go ahead and start in quizzes. To add a quiz bank, I'm going to click on the three dots and then do Manage Question Banks. I'm going to add a brand new one. So I'm going to click on Add Question Bank, and I'm just going to call this Stats Measures. So I'm going to go ahead and build a question bank that includes some statistical measure questions. I'm going to click on the bank name. And now I'm ready to add some questions. I'm going to click on the Add a Question button, and then I'm given, you can title your question. I don't give them titles, but you certainly could. And then you're also given this drop-down menu with all of the different choices. Now, multiple choice seems to be the most common one, so let's start there. Now, your instructions are going to go here. So I'm going to say, which of the following is a measure of center? Question mark. It gives you 4 possible responses by default. You can get rid of one by clicking on the garbage can. And if you want more than 4, you can click on the Add Another Answer. 4 works just great for me. So I'm going to go ahead and say a z-score, which is not a measure of center. I'm going to say standard deviation. I'm going to say median. And then I'm going to say, let's do a percentile. The median is a measure of center. So as I hover over it, I get those options, including the green arrow. I'm going to click on the green arrow to mark this one as my correct answer. Notice that down below you also have this green comment box. So this is a way that you can give students direct feedback, and you can say, great job. Oops, let me click on this, and you can say, great job. Exclamation mark. Let me go ahead and click on done there. You can also give feedback for a specific incorrect response. So for example, standard deviation, maybe I want to say, remember this is a measure of spread or something. So I'm going to go ahead and click on done here. Now at the very bottom, you're also given some boxes. You can give them overall feedback for any incorrect question. That's what the second one is here. When you've got it the way that you want, you can go ahead and click on Update Question. It's pretty easy, right? So let's go ahead and add another question. Now, I'm not going to go through every single type, but I do want to go through some of the ones that I think are a little more useful and maybe a little trickier. For example, if we do fill in multiple blanks, this one can be a little bit trickier. Now, Canvas is pretty nice to us because it does give me some instructions up above, so do take a look at those instructions. Specifically, it says to include whatever your blanks are going to be in square brackets. So let's do this one. So we'll say a z-score is a measure of, and I'm going to go answer 1. Don't put any spaces here. So I'm going to go answer 1 and then close bracket. While the standard deviation is a measure, if I can spell it right, measure of, and I'm going to go answer 2 down here, period. So they're going to be given blanks in both of those. And then underneath here, it says show possible answers for answer 1. So a z-score is a measure of position. These are not case sensitive, which is nice because you do want to put in the different variations that a student might type in so that it auto corrects for all of those. But I'm just going to leave measure of position for this first one. I'm going to get rid of the second possible answer, just hovering on that and then clicking on the garbage can. But let's take a look at answer 2. So for answer 2, this one was the standard deviation. This one could be a measure of variation. It could also be a measure of spread. It could also, let me click on add another answer. You could also say that it's a measure of variability. And then maybe you also want to include a misspelled one. So maybe they spell variation wrong or something. So you could include some common misspellings here as well and then you can click on Update Question. Now up here at the top it does say Show Question Details, so it gives you a little bit of information here, but it doesn't actually give you a preview. We're going to see a preview of these questions when we create an actual quiz. Let's put at least one more question though into our question bank. So I'm going to go Add a Question. This time I want to do a formula question. So to do a formula question, these are really great for anything that has a numerical answer. I'm going to do the formula question first. So for this one, I want to say I'm just going to do a plus b, and I do want to include those variables in square brackets so it recognizes it as a variable, a plus, and then square bracket, b, square bracket, and then question mark. When you scroll down, you're given options for your variables. So this is going to randomly generate values so that your students get different questions, or if your student is taking the quiz multiple times, they get different practice questions each time. So I'm going to let A go, I'll let it be anything from 1 to 10, no decimal places. I want it to be a whole number. And let's let B range from 11 to, I don't know, say 15. Again, I want it to be a whole number. And let's go ahead and click on Recompute. I do need to click on that Recompute value so it generates some possible values. And then down below, it says, okay, what do you want me to compute with the 6 and the 15 or with any of these values? I want the sum. Notice now that it's dropped the square brackets off of those, so I can just go A plus B without any square brackets, and then I can click on Save. There's one more thing that you've got to do. How many different possible combinations do you want? I'm going to say that I want 5 of these different combinations. I'm going to click on Generate. I want to make sure that I've clicked through all of these buttons, Recompute, Generate, Save, so that everything has been stored into this question. And it's given me all of the different possible combinations here. You can change that if you want. You can also add a margin of error. Say if you were asking your students to round, you could add a margin of error there, and then I click on Update Question. So it's a really, really nice way to do a formula question. So now that we've got a few different questions in here, let's go and build a quiz. Now to build a quiz, you can do it again through quizzes, through assignments, or through modules. I typically do it through modules because I want to drop it right into one of my weekly modules. Now I'm going to go right to my week 2 module. I'm going to click the plus button and ask it to add a quiz from my drop-down menu, and I want it to create a quiz. We're going to be using the classic quiz engine. Again, look for the link down below for my tutorial on the new quiz engine. You're going to give your quiz a name, and I'm going to call this Unit 1 quiz. You can also put it into any of your predefined assignment categories, and you can indent it if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and click on Add Item. Now to actually create all of the workings of your quiz, you're going to go find that quiz there at the bottom, click on it to open it, and then click on Edit. Now just like any other assignment, you are given a spot for instructions and then also some different parameters for this quiz. I'm just going to write instructions. I'll let you guys come up with your own instructions, but this is a rich content editor, so tons of formatting options there. Now there's a couple of different quiz types. The graded quiz and the graded survey do drop directly into the student's grade. You can also give them an ungraded survey. These don't have correct answers, but the graded quiz and the practice quiz do have correct answers. We're going to be doing a graded quiz today, and I am going to leave that in my assignments category. Now you can shuffle the different answers. Remember the multiple choice had 4 different solutions, but be really careful. If you've got one that says all of the above, don't click on shuffle answers. I'm just going to leave it, but I do want to put a time limit here. I'm going to put a time limit of 90. I'm also going to allow multiple attempts, and I'm going to choose to keep the highest score. Let's go ahead and add 3 multiple attempts. And then the next one is if you want to let students see their quiz responses. Now I'm giving them 3 attempts because I want them to be able to improve their score. So it is important for my quiz for my students to see their responses. And I want them to see the correct answer though only after their last attempt. So I'm going to click on that, but a few different options there. You can also choose to show a single question at a time. You've got an access code here, so you can set any kind of a password if you want to verbally give your students that password, or if you want to make sure that they're contacting you, finishing up something before you give them the password to go ahead and take that. So that's a really nice option there. And then you can use the lockdown browser. And then finally, a due date. So I'm going to leave the due date off for now. I'm going to click on save so that it saves all of these parameters. I'm going to go back into edit and let's click on the questions tab this time. Now we created a question bank. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to grab questions from the question bank, and then we're going to create some questions directly into this quiz. To get questions from your question bank, you want to click on find questions. You'll notice that stats measures, that quiz bank has already been selected. I can choose a few of these, or I can choose all of them. I'm going to select all. You can also put them in a question group. The nice thing about question groups is you can say give students 2 out of the 3 or something like that. I'm not going to do a group, and I'm going to add these questions. Now it looks a lot like our question bank. I'm given each of these questions. If I hover over the questions, I'm given this pencil so I can edit. I can also exit out to delete it. I can also grab this array of dots over here on the left-hand side and change the order of the questions. And I have that show question details again. But the really nice thing about this is I can click the save button and do a preview. So I've got some questions in here. I can do a preview. Now it shows me exactly what the students will see with each of these questions. And even better than that, you can take the quiz here. I don't actually want to take the quiz. I want to keep updating it and show you a couple of more really powerful question types. So let's go back into the questions tab. I want to add a new question. So I'm going to arrow down and click on add new question. This time I want to do a matching question. So let's go ahead and choose, there's my matching question. And I'm going to say identify the column or the names for each of the columns below. Okay, and I'm going to give them a grouped frequency distribution. I can upload an image here. I'm going to go ahead and click on my image icon, or you can go to your insert menu. So I'm going to click on the down arrow here. This is already a course image. I've already uploaded this one into my course. So under course files, I'm going to go ahead and choose this one, and then it is already in there. I can go ahead and X that one out. So you'll notice that I've labeled 6 of these columns. So in the matching part down below here, I want 6 different answers with the matching right and left side. So we are going to do add another answer, add another answer. When you are putting them in here, you want to make sure, see there how there's a rectangle around this, that you are giving the answers. So when your student takes the question, these are going to be mixed up. So it's not going to give it to them in this order. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I could have done fewer, and you can get the idea, and then 6. Okay, so heading 1 are our class limits. You can see that I've already done this one. It brings up some of those options. And then I've got my class boundaries. Heading 3 is my frequency. Oh, heading 3 is my midpoint. Heading 4 is my tally. Heading 5 is my frequency. And heading 6 is my cumulative frequency. I'm just going to write C period frequency. Okay. Now, if you were giving some kind of a definition or something, keep in mind that everything over here on the right is going to show up in a drop-down menu. So I'm fine with the words that I have here, but if I was writing full sentences or something like that, I would have the full sentences be on the other side, and then maybe the numbers on the right side. I don't need to add another answer. I'm not going to add any distractors, although you could put those in here. Let's go ahead and update this question. Since we're creating a quiz, I can immediately go in, hit save, and then preview to see what this guy looks like. Let me go ahead and hit save, and then let's do a preview. And then you'll see what this one looks like. Let me scroll down. So you'll notice that it gives you the drop-down menu and it's switched the order, so the student has to correctly now choose that class limits. Okay, so let me just keep on editing. I want to show you how to do a question group. So under questions, I am going to assign a question group, but let's actually delete the ones that we grabbed from our question bank. Those were the first 3 questions. So hovering over them, I get an X to delete. So I'm going to delete that one, and I'm going to delete that one, and I'm going to delete that one. Instead, I want to add them from a question bank and do a group. So I'm going to add a new question group. I do want to link it to a question bank, and I'm going to choose stats measures and then select bank. I want it to pick 2 of these questions. Remember, there were 3 in my group, and I want them to be 1 point per question, and then create group. Now, it is automatically giving me point totals. So it's giving me 1 point per question for those 2 from the test bank, and also 1 point for this one where I had to match 6 different things. Let's change that. I'm going to click on the arrow. In the upper right-hand corner for this question, I've got the points. They're actually answering 6 different things. So I'm going to make this one worth 6 points. Let's click on update question, and let's add one more question. I'm going to click on new question. Another really common type is an essay question. So I'm going to click on this. It doesn't have to be like a full 5-paragraph essay. You might just want your students to type in a couple of sentences to do a reflection or something. So essay question, I'm just going to say reflect on how you're doing with this material. And then update question. And I did that because I want to show you what the quiz is capable of auto-grading and what it's not capable of auto-grading. I'm going to save and publish this quiz because I'm going to go in and not just preview it. I want to go in and take it like a student would take it so I can go back and grade it. This is such a great thing to do, especially when you're new to quizzes. Now I've got it published, so I can go into Student View and take the quiz under the name Test Student. I'm going to go ahead and take this quiz. So I get a preview, which is great. I also get to grade it, which is going to be great. So let me go ahead and just take done, and I need to submit the quiz. Again, you're taking this just like your students would take. And remember, you've got the chance to take it again. So I've got take the quiz again. And I also said that they could see how they did. So it's just telling them that they got partial credit. It's not showing them what the answers are. Remember, I checked that they can only see the answer after their last attempt. And if you scroll down here, 9 plus 14 is not 13. And then notice that this last one says not yet graded. This is the one that needs to be manually scored by you. I'm going to go ahead and leave Student View and let me show you how to manually do that grading. I want to go into the quiz, which I'm still in the quiz, which is great. I can go into Speed Grader. And up should pop the only response to this quiz, which is my test student's response. I can see exactly what they got correct and incorrect. I can even change that score if I wanted to say give them some partial credit that Canvas didn't recognize. And again, scrolling down here, I can add a comment here and say 9 plus 14 is actually 23. And then I'm going to give them a comment on this one. This is the essay question that I need to grade. So of course I'm going to give them 1 point out of 1 point there. And I'm going to say, of course, your teacher is amazing. Okay, so I've got that one. You can also give them some fudge points if you want to just add some points in there. Notice how they're at a 5 right now. I'm going to update that score, and I graded that essay question, so it's increased that to a 6. You can even add a general comment here, and I'm going to say work on those frequency distributions but overall, good job. And then again, all the bells and whistles here, so you've got some options there for adding some feedback. I'm going to go ahead and click on submit. Okay, but what if a student needed an extra attempt? What if a student needed extra time on this quiz? Let me show you how to do that too. I'm going to go back to my quiz. I'm clicking on Unit 1 to get back to the quiz. You can also, though, click on your Quizzes tab, click on that quiz name to open it, and then you're given your options over here on the right-hand side. We want to go to moderate this quiz. It brings up all of my students and how many attempts they've got left. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pick on this first student. Notice how there's a pencil over here on the right-hand side. I'm going to click on that pencil and I can give them extra attempts. Right now, everyone gets 3 attempts. I'm going to give the student 1 additional attempt for 4 total, and then extra time. I'm going to give this student 30 extra minutes. So that's going to give them not 90, but 120 minutes on this quiz. Manually unlock the quiz for the next attempt. I'm just going to leave that unchecked. I don't want to have to go in and manually unlock that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on save. And that student now, notice how they've got 4 attempts left. I have really only touched the surface here on what all Canvas quizzes can do. Take a look at this tutorial here to learn about new quizzes, which is coming soon.